Hello, everybody. Happy New Year's Eve. Hopefully, how's everybody doing? Little Apollo wants to say hi. He just popped his head in, so let's pull him up for a hello. It's been a while. While you're all getting settled, if you're watching this live, I would love for you to vote for the deck that you would like me to use today. This is the first time in a few years that I've actually done a 12-month outlook. So special reading today for all of you. I thought it would be a great way to ring in the new year, and I wanted to do it a day before New Year's Eve so that I could relax tomorrow as well. And this will hopefully set us in the right direction, showing us opportunities month by month. If you haven't already had a chance, take a look at the main channel. I have basically done all of the January videos, so you can look at them right now. And I've put in a quarterly forecast, so there's 4 months, or not 4 months, but four groupings of the months, 3 apiece, where you can kind of get an overview for your sign. This will give us sort of that cohesive 12-month glue that's going to help us fine-tune things a little bit more. So you can get sign-specific by looking at your monthly Terrascope, and then you can look at this to get the in-between stuff. Okay? Good to see everybody. This is an impromptu reading. Everybody's welcome. And basically, if you enjoy what you see here, I would love for you to hit the like button, subscribe, and join the team here. It'd be good to have you. I will also post a reminder afterwards on all the social media platforms in case you missed this on how to get the replay. Thank you in advance to anybody that decided to give back and become a member or give a super sticker. And a quick reminder, because there are a couple of people floating around on social media pretending to be me that aren't. Remember, I don't use direct messages on social media, and I don't offer private readings. For some reason, people keep messaging folks, and I will see people thank me. Thanks for the private message. I'm like, that's not me. So always like to remind folks whenever I get here that that is my policy. All right, let's see what you've chosen. It looks like the Sun and Moon deck by an overwhelming 40% is going to be what we're going to use to look at the year ahead. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and zoom in. So here's what we're going to do. Again, let me repeat. What we're looking at today is for all signs present. We're not going to break it down. Maybe at the end what I can do is do some elemental things, or I think what would be more useful is a blessing and a block for all of us over the year. So let's just kind of see where the energy takes us, and then I'll figure out how to fine tune it after that. I'm not going to be pulling a Celtic cross. I'm going to be pulling 12 cards. And then as I look at that, we'll decide if anything needs clarification, okay? So this is a very special reading. It doesn't really follow my usual format. I think that's what makes it fun. So good to have all of you here. And let's get started. Okay, let me push back the mic, and we're going to lay out all 12 cards and see what this year looks like. Oh, let me get a little bit more light in here. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. All right, I think I can get them all here for the most part. We'll have a little bit of cropping, but it'll be all right. All right, so let's begin. I might actually want to separate them out, but I'm going to leave them as is. All right, so looking at it by quarters, there's some big shifts that are happening in the first quarter of the year. We have the Death and Rebirth card marking February, but all of the cards are pretty good. So this would be a positive change where the change is really shifting in here. I'm going to go month by month. I'm just observing a couple of trends. One trend that I really like is that I'm not seeing a Tower or a Ten of Swords moment. And, you know, the trickiest cards that we're getting may be like Five of Pentacles or Five of Swords towards the end of the year. But it's a pretty manageable spread of cards. And this shows that there is some great energy available for everybody. So you never know what it's going to look like when we're pulling the cards, but I'm really happy with what I see here. So let's begin with January. And January has been symbolized here by the Nine of Cups. So we'll look at it here, and it's actually came through reverse, but let's turn it upright so you can see the card in all its glory here. What's really cool about this Nine of Cups for January is it's basically representing this feeling of like, it's almost effervescent, right? She's skipping across the water. And also being able to overcome any sort of grief or fear and just go for it. It's kind of like the impossible if you can walk on water. She's having a good time. Now, the Nine of Cups in reverse is the desire sometimes for us to make everything like that every single day. And the reality of human existence is there's going to be highs and lows. Most of the time is in between. And the challenge in January is to really celebrate when those highs happen. Don't let the lows define or make you sort of feel deflated. You're not defined by your lowest moment. In fact, what you are defined by is sort of like how you react to it or what you can make of it, not the fact that you're in a energetic low point. So your ability to contextualize it, spring back, and find some sort of, I guess, again, a lesson to be learned there, that's really going to be the key thing here. So some ups and some downs. Of course, we know we have a retrograde that's going to accentuate some of that, but at its core, the Nine of Cups, just like the Three of Cups, is a card of celebration. And you can even see in the title on it, it says happiness. So we create our own happiness. Happiness is one of our sort of soul opportunities when we come to this planet. We're supposed to experience love, joy, and happiness. It's not something that is, just for the lucky or whatever. So do what you can in January to create happiness. If you're feeling unhappy, if you're feeling triggered, that's also a blessing because it shows you what you don't want. And for those of us that have gone through some tough things this year, you know what I'm talking about, whether it's losing money, losing someone that you love, having some challenges with health, or a combination of these things, it really kind of helps clarify, like, this isn't not it, this is it. And when you make it through those moments, you can really sort of find your strength. So I think January is a period where you're going to be asked to look at the positive. You're going to be having some highs and some lows. And the goal is to try to stay in the middle as much as possible, okay? Don't go to extremes. Nine of Cups is a card of extremes, so trying not to be in the extreme high or low energy will be to your favor. But overall, it's a good news card, and even when reversed, just like the Four of Wands, it tells me there might be some hidden blessings, there might be some news that takes you by surprise, and if you can stay open to it, if you can try to avoid being triggered, you're going to have a really good January, okay? So by and large, a little bit emotional for some of us, but fairly good. This is a positive card, okay? So take a deep breath, lean on people, ask for help. Don't overcommit and don't overdo it in January. If you do those things, you'll be fine. Let's take a look at the card for February. It's pretty exciting for me as a reader whenever I see a death or rebirth card. This is signifying really big periods of change for you. So when we go into February here, we pulled this the other day when I think I was looking at the retrograde, but this is being able to rise up from the ashes. And such an exciting and beautiful card here. So if anything hasn't been going your way, the first thing that you want to look at in February is sort of like an internal homework question. You could ask yourself, where am I stagnating? Where am I not achieving what I set out to achieve? And those things need to be dealt with first and foremost. I had a really cool call with one of my friends that I grew up with, actually. Used to live a couple streets away. And he had some really good advice on dealing with fear or any sort of emotion. And it's basically to embrace it and just say, I meet you, I see you. And I like that a lot. Because otherwise fear will come knocking at the door. So it's better for us to greet it and say, I understand you're here to teach me. What do I need to learn? Why is this coming through? So when you're stuck somewhere, you could think, all right, why didn't this work out the way that I intended? What am I going to do about it? And this is going to give you the sort of springboard to get into being unstuck. Now, the good news is if you've had bad luck, quote unquote, I don't really believe in that. I believe that there's either preparedness or lack of preparedness for synchronicity. So let's say you weren't ready to move forward before. The second chance or the good luck starts to come through in February. It's basically a change of fate or a change of fortune. And the main thing that you need to focus on in January is not feeling sort of like overwhelmed or overburdened. And then you have this chance again to kind of like bounce back, redefine. And this is probably when most of you are going to see the biggest return on energy, when a lot of the stuff, the seeds that you've been planting here in the later part of December and possibly throughout January, they're going to kick into main gear when you get into February. So it looks like a pivotal month for changing direction, for seeing growth, for bouncing back, for getting unstuck. All pretty good to me. Some of you could also be going through a trigger moment or a catalyst moment where something exits your life. The cool thing on this is we see the duality of the death card, which is it's also a creative energy. So sometimes we need to separate from, lose, or wantingly and knowingly say, I'm going to release this in order to create the space necessary for growth to happen. So something exits, something comes through. A period where you were previously stuck, you now feel unstuck. You feel inspired. And that's what we get for February. It's an awakening card. And in the Northern Hemisphere, we're getting very close to spring. We're kind of between winter and spring, so it makes a lot of sense. It's when all the stuff that's under the surface starts to push through, and it's going to find a way to come out. So again, go and answer the door. Meet fear, meet opportunity face to face and say, let's do this. I'm ready. Okay? Pretty exciting energy for February. All right, moving along to the energy of March, we have the Eight of Wands. This is when things start to get busy, and a lot of the triggering energy that you had in January and February are gone. The card was reversed, but let's look at it in the upright position. In the upright position, we see an empowered figure that is kind of pushing back and maybe even orchestrating all of the stuff going on around her, all of these sort of bows and arrows. So typically with the Eight of Wands, you would see everything flying in the air. It's kind of like rocket ships. And I like to remind folks that whenever we see this, that you're not alone. You can ask for help. You can slow the speed down a little bit. All of these were thrown into the air by somebody. And here we can actually, I like this illustration a little bit more because somebody's aiming those arrows. So the question here is, are you spending all of your time kind of going from point A to point B, or are you the one with the bow and arrow kind of deciding where, when, and how often to engage? So you need to kind of find your inner conductor when we're looking at March and basically get organized, get in the flow, and you can always do a little bit less with wands. You could subtract a couple things from your plate and it would give you the Six of Wands, which is success. So take a couple things off, you're more successful. Take even a couple more off, and now you have a partnership and you're really focused. Taking even a couple more, and now you're back to a visionary state. So wands is fine. You can go up, you can scale down. There's really not many cards that are difficult. Nine of Wands, you're pushing through, and that's the next phase. And it's basically saying, are you ready to finish what you've started? Don't feel sort of like overworked in this month. Either lean on others, get some additional help, or just push through and know that you're very close to completion. Overall, you couldn't ask for a better card to appear for business, for producing something, for personal development. It's a busy card. So stay grounded. I'm acknowledging that you may just have a lot going on. Stay grounded, delegate, pull back, practice good self-care. But when it comes to will you be successful during this period, this is a yes with an exclamation point, okay? So basically your March energy is very good. It's the best so far, I would say, because when we're looking at these, we see a very, very emotional January. Some good things coming through, but you could feel triggered up and down a little bit with that. Then we see a pivotal February where you have to make some big changes and some big shifts. And now we see things just getting into more of a predictable ebb and flow. All right, so it's overall a good first quarter, but it does require 2 or 3 things here, which is staying emotionally grounded, recognizing an opportunity and embracing it when it approaches you, and then not getting lost in the shuffle, okay? Let's go on to April, which has always been a powerful part of the year for me. And in April, we have the Princess. In this deck, that's a Page of Cups. And for some of you, you're being offered an exciting opportunity. You may actually be at a point where you're willing to put yourself out there a little bit more. And this could be saying, for some of you that are ready to date or are ready to put your hat into consideration for some sort of a job or opportunity, you're a little less self-conscious. You're a little bit more comfortable in your own skin. This is a card that's very playful. You can see that here with the dolphin. And so for love and partnership and general sort of community energy, you're kind of shining very, very brightly here. So this is a good and a very social month. Partnerships and creativity flying high. So if there's something that you've been meaning or wanting to do, maybe it is a creative endeavor. Maybe it is releasing something to the world. Pages are very good at communication. They're very good at receiving, creativity and channeling that. So this will be a good month where you're focusing a little bit more on what you want, a little bit more self-energy coming through. And I always look at cups, not just like as chalices and just traditional things to drink out of, but like satellites. So you're very receptive this month. And I guess the question for April is, what are you trying to receive? What are you trying to tune in into? So if you can just be a little bit more mindful of I'm really focused on this, I feel like you can absorb a lot. Okay? April looks great. Good time for love, good time for creativity, good time to connect with others. All right, focusing on the energy of May, we have the moon card. In and of itself, the moon is actually pretty good. It shows your own connection to instincts. You're just going to pick up on things pretty quickly. You can read a person, a place, and an opportunity, and just know from a quick glance, yeah, this is for me, or no, I'm going to move on. So listen to your instincts. This is a time where you may feel a little bit more competitive. So if there's something that you really want to do, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of healthy competition, a little fire in the belly. So as we're looking here at April, May, so it says May. So looking at May, there's just this feeling maybe that you want to prove yourself. One thing that I like to remind folks with the moon card is just to not get too much in your head space about what other people are doing, or let their fears or anxieties come in. There's always a path in the center that's reminding you, hey, don't lose focus. So little competition is good, too much isn't worth it. Listening to some critique is good, but putting too much weight in everybody's opinions isn't going to help. And if there's something that needs to be said or done, this is the time to do it. And this is kind of like what I was talking about, meeting fear or meeting opportunity face to face and just saying, let's resolve this, because there's a lot of really good stuff this year to embrace. I'm not going to let this hold me back. Okay. Could be a water sign. We have 2 water sign energies coming in here. It could be a Cancer. We also have Piscean energy on this one. So could be some water coming into your life in the form of a friend or some sort of an ally for work, etc. But by and large, it's a great month. So if you just joined, we did January, February, March, April, May. We're into June now. The energy for June is one of the best so far. We have 8 of Pentacles. This is a card of basically return on energetic investment. A lot of times this comes through when you go back to school, when you're editing or finishing something, when things are just really going in the right sort of energetic flow. I'll pull the traditional card up just for comparison, but it couples with the 3 of Pentacles, which usually follows, and that is basically mastery, and it is people taking a look at you and saying, a job well done, it's recognition. When you're in the 8 mode, though, you're basically saying, I'm doing this because I want to learn. I feel like expanding my skills. I believe in what I'm doing. So the most important thing as we're looking at June is really focusing on, do you feel like you're getting something out of the investment of time and energy, whether it's a job, a course of study at school, or the relationship, or whatever you're in? It's basically checking in and it's saying, is it worth it? Am I getting something out of this? Am I still learning and expanding? Because that's what this period wants you to do. We see, I believe it's bleeding hearts on this. So for some of you, there could be this feeling of needing to revisit or heal something where before you weren't given the chance to succeed or complete it. So maybe you decided to walk away from something. You didn't go to school so that you could raise a family. You didn't finish this project because you always were helping everybody else. You never focused on developing something for yourself because, again, maybe you didn't think you had the capacity because someone told you. This is a time to heal your heart and to expand and to prove that you always had the capacity. So growth is the focal point of the energy of June, the 6th month of the year. But what we also see with this is personal investment. Like, you're valuing yourself and you're investing in yourself, and that's going to create abundance for the latter part of the year. All right, let's move into the 4th quarter and let's take a look at July. Now it's really about people wanting to know where you stand when it comes to thoughts and actions. So the Princess of Swords, she is outspoken. She sometimes is going to even act before she is thinking about it. So it's almost like the throat chakra is interesting. I had a little bit of a dream last night where I had to pull something out of my throat. And I just tossed it into the universe and said, that's not me. So for some of you, even though I didn't do a traditional sort of channeled message here, what I'm picking up on for the 7th month of the year, for July, is finding your voice and getting someone else's voice out of your throat. So you're like, Nicholas, what are you talking about? The Strength card has someone that sometimes is operating your throat almost like a ventriloquist, or, like you're a puppet, a sock puppet. And so what I feel is coming through in July is this feeling of, it's my voice. These are my actions. These are my decisions. You went through the work of deciding, who am I, as we're looking at June. And by July, you're coming out and saying, this is what I am. This is what I stand for. And people are going to listen. And we see that little butterfly there, transformation and change. You have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And you don't want to overthink. You've already gone through that part. So I think that's the key thing here. Take direct actions and really make sure that if you want something, you say that you want it. Your words have an impact. You may also find yourself thrown in the mix. Pages aren't just errand people. They are channelers. They are intermediates. They are valuable kind of pieces to the overall whole. And that's how you're coming through, is the go-to person, the link, the strong link that's going to bring two people or two ideas together. And if I had to sum up what the energy for July is going to be, it's about linking with somebody, using your communication and action skills to make that happen. Okay, so now we are midway through the 3rd quarter, and we have so this is for August, we have the Two of Wands. And for me, Two of Wands is one of the most powerful visionary cards in the minor arcana. It partners very nicely with Magician and High Priestess energy. In fact, without this, those two cards typically aren't as effective as they may normally be. So when I see this, I see one or both of those as well. So what we're looking at here for August is a chance to get new insight, new information, possibly go into a new trajectory. Some of you may be at a fork in the road where you're thinking, oh, wow, now I have two different directions that I can go on. So one of the most exciting points of the year is you're almost 3/4 of the way through the year, and all of a sudden this Two of Wands energy comes up in August, and it's saying, wow, now what? Or look at how much you've done, you can go even further. So I really want you to be creative, visionary, and expansive during this period. Your ability to believe and to follow through on that sort of vision is going to open up some new doors. So this is a good month for ideation, brainstorming, talking to people and pitching ideas, exploring new horizons and seeing what's out there. You'll surprise yourself, you'll surprise others, you'll get a lot done, okay? So we are now in September, and the energy for September is fantastic. This is coupling with everything you just did here. So I see it, I believe it. You're taking some of that linking energy that we just talked about a little bit earlier. So far, this is the most powerful. The 3rd quarter of the year is the best so far for everybody. But as we look at the energy of September, we have the sun coming through. So this is you sitting pretty. Everything that you've been building up to for the last 3 parts of the year is coming through nicely. This is birthing energy. This is power, solar plexus energy. This is the ability also to be charismatic, meet new people. If you're looking for love or if you're looking for opportunity, September is when it's really you're shining the brightest. You're a different form of the star. there are two stars, and there's a hidden star if we look at the major arcana. It's the sun is a star, the star is the star, and the hermit holds a star. So there are three different types of stars, but the sun is one of the boldest. It's the most tangible and real. So when we look at the sun in the major arcana, it's the thing that we see every day. The star is more distant, and the hermit's lantern star is even more distant sometimes because it's dimmer. So what I see with this is a chance for you. If we had to look at the pivotal point of the year to launch something or do something, it's definitely in September, okay? Looking really, really great at that period of time. Some of you could be also, like I said, maybe there's a new child or a new person or a new opportunity coming in. Birthing and rebirthing. So for some of you, whatever stepped away now, you're coming back in a different way in this period of time. So this is the rebirth, this is the baby. It starts here, but it really finishes up here. Now we're in the final part of next year, fast forwarding. And this is where things get tricky. It ends on a good note with the King of Cups, but we have October, November are going to be interesting sort of periods. So let's take them one at a time. October is a chance for that inner child to come back and heal itself. It's interesting because this is a child. The sun is definitely a child, and it could be triggering the inner child. So what happens sometimes is we manifest something amazing in our lives. It could be a successful relationship, a successful job, or there's an external opportunity where someone comes in and says, you're perfect for this. And you are, but there's a part of you that thinks, I don't know, back when I was a kid or 3 years ago or 10 years ago, I tried something like this and it didn't work. Am I really, really ready for this? And that's, if you look at the crowning, or not the crowning, but the caption on this one, it basically says worry. A lot of times the Five of Pentacles is unnecessary worry. It's you giving energy or giving sort of like more power to a fear than needs to be given. So what you want to do is go back and heal that younger version of yourself, kind of give it a hug and say, I'm sorry you had to go through that. It wasn't easy, but that isn't us now. We're stronger, we're more capable, we're not gonna make the same mistakes. And that's true if you've really integrated the lesson. And that's the big opportunity. If we look at some other things you want to be mindful of during October, and this is so far out there, but you can come back to this later. With the Five of Pentacles, don't accept less than what you're worth. Don't overextend yourself. If there are relationships where people make you feel devalued or less than, then it's time to politely just sort of step away from that. And there could be people around you that always want to sort of make it more about them, and maybe that there's things happening to them. They're not embracing their own power. And you can't always be the eternal father or mother figure for those types. So this is about healing yourself, understanding the limits that you can heal others, and really kind of better organizing your energy and your resources. If you can do that, you're going to be fine. The biggest thing here, if I could just put a don't in front of it, is like, don't worry. And do value yourself, because you just rebirthed the inner child, but there's the echo of the previous inner child that's saying, but are you sure? And you are sure, because we just had this brilliant sun card coming through, okay? We still have a little star up here in the stained glass, and it's just saying, are we going to be okay? So you have to nurture the inner child, overcome self-confidence issues, and just say, yeah, we're going to do this. For some of you, it can just be imposter syndrome. You're doing fine, but you're afraid that, quote unquote, people are going to find you out. Presumably they're going to find out that you're very talented. Let's just think of it that way. Why can't it work? Why shouldn't it work? Don't give in to fear. As we look at November, you're being challenged to walk away from people and opportunities in your life where it's kind of like a no-win situation. The Five of Swords comes through when someone doesn't want to listen to critique or feedback. When someone isn't truly listening to you, they're just thinking of the next thing that they want to say. They could also be simply enjoying getting a rise out of you. So if there's any people in your life that fall into that category, this is kind of the cleansing part of the year. It's saying, I don't have time for a lack of confidence, and I don't have time for this kind of energy anymore. Because why? You're a rising star based on what we saw previously. There's a couple of energetic tests that are coming through in the fourth quarter of the year, but there's a payoff come next December. So we have the card reversed, but it's still one of the best cards you can pull through for relationships and just general happiness here. We have the King of Cups marching in. He's reversed, but he's saying, are you ready to be happy? Are you ready for things to go your way? Are you ready to fully express yourself? Some of you need to let go of some things, some of the heavier energies, some of the fear and anxiety. It's a good month for self-care, kind of like what we're going through right now. The end of the year is always a good time for clearing, cleansing, and healing. But some of you may have just met either a person or an opportunity that really ignites your heart space. And it was so worth the challenges that you went through in the 2 months preceding, because now this person could be or this opportunity could be your big chance for expansion. So it could be a soulmate, or it could be a synchronicity that you called in because for the first time in a very long time, you're truly awake, aware, and open. All right, I'm going to take this sweatshirt off because when I do readings, I get hot. So hold on a second, and then we'll continue. Okay, that's better. For any of you that are readers, you know what I'm talking about. When you look into energy, it basically kind of like warms you up, and we talked about a lot there. So a quick review if you just joined. Let's go ahead here and take a look at all the cards, kind of identify the quarters. Let's put it into 2 halves here too. This is what I've been wanting to do the whole time. Okay, so it'll be easier for us to see it here. So as we look at the first quarters here again, quarter 1 here as I'm looking at it, let's just do the desk alone. So what we saw here was January, the main thing to focus on is keeping your cool. In February, there's a chance for you to really reinvent yourself, step into your power, do something exciting. We see things going into production or really happening quickly as we go to March. So January, February, March, a big shift in February, but things move you towards being productive here. April, May, and June are actually pretty good. A good time for partnerships. Follow your instincts when we're looking at May. And in June, we see this ability for you to really just learn a lot. Your resources are going in the right direction, and you're feeling this sense of everything being worthwhile. As we then look at the third quarter of the year here, what we see is your words and actions really taking off, people really listening to you. This is the strongest quarter of the year, is quarter 3. So you could get something published, written, etc. here as we're looking at July, August, September. August, you have this new vision that's coming through. September, somebody's seeing that, things really taking off. The only challenging period that I'm really picking up on is next, October, November. And then in December, we see another big opening in the heart space. Dare I say the year ahead looks really, really good for all of us. And I think that, aside from what happens sometimes when we get this energy of thinking, can I do it? Or when we have the imposter syndrome that can pop in, or when we have people around us that are kind of distracting us. So if only 3 of the 12 months present some trickiness, then you have over 3 quarters of the year where you can get a lot done. And that to me bodes pretty well. Okay, let's reset the table. And what I'm going to take a look at now is just some high-level things that I want to look at. I want to keep this a little shorter because I've already done deep dives into retrograde and some other things. But what I want to look at today, I'm just going to be intuitively guided as I go through this, is what is the big opportunity for everybody next year? So we're looking at this from an entire year point of view. What can you learn? What can you grow from in the year ahead? Okay, so when we look at the deep past, and it's interesting because it kind of comes full circle at the end of the year, we have this Ace of Cups card. So understanding that it's okay for you to feel happiness, it's okay to prioritize self. At the very end of the year, we had the King of Cups coming through. And so the sooner you kind of, and this looks beautiful for the New Year's Eve celebration some of you might be doing, but in this new year, there's an opportunity for you to do something that makes your heart sing. Follow your heart, follow your instincts, and go for it. If not this year, then when in your life are you going to do something that truly makes your heart sing? That's what that card is saying. The big presenting energy, though, is over taking action and taking control. This chariot's not only steering itself forward, but also focusing. So we had that Two of Wands energy that came in the third quarter, halfway through that third quarter. And that's what this is basically saying is really take aim and make sure that you're not missing out on something important. You don't have to wait that long. It's the sooner you're kind of tuned in, the sooner the universe can create an opening for you. And just like we saw with the Page of Swords, this Knight of Swords is basically saying, I have the capacity through words and actions and ideas to cut through the nonsense. We see him kind of cutting through the clouds and opening something up. You and you alone have a chance to sort of open something up for yourself. Your passion, your vision, and your action are what's going to make this happen. Believing in it, owning it, and doing it. I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about it, but that's sort of the overarching thing. Let's take a look at what could potentially block you now that you know what you need to be focusing on. You didn't miss December. It was the King of Cups. We talked about the King of Cups reversed. It was about allowing yourself to be happy, about really kind of moving forward. It's a good time for partnering up with others, etc. Okay, so we're looking at what could potentially get in the way. All right, so some interesting energy here. So let's take a look at this. All right, as we're looking at what could get in the way, for some of you, there is this feeling that you have to do it all alone. So we have the Eight of Pentacles, which also presented itself. And we have this sort of hand here in the background, which is saying, you know, you can reach out. You don't have to do everything alone. Sometimes we feel like we have to prove it to ourselves that it's you know, like you against the world. And basically the Eight of Pentacles is saying, you know what, it's sometimes you just have to send out an SOS because it's a written sort of energy with this. It can be a text, it can be an email, it can be a letter. But one thing that I'm seeing here is don't be afraid to express yourself. Use your words, use written words if necessary, and send out an SOS and say, I need some advice, I need some help. What do you think here? Again, I was talking to a friend today that, you know, even healers, even teachers need that sort of connection and need insight from one another from time to time. So don't be afraid. Nobody is above getting support or getting that sort of insight. It's also a card of research. So the reversal of that could be the feeling like I don't need to read up on this or I know everything there is to know. And as long as there are people walking this planet and as long as the universe continues to expand, there's going to be mysteries that have not yet been solved. So we can always learn something. And there's always a little bit more information that can be absorbed. So just stay open-minded. That's one thing. And I asked this, I can't remember, I think in one of the weekend ones or one of the monthly ones this month, but we have the playful energy here of the otter, the Page of Cups, and it's basically saying, when is the last time you had fun? When was the last time you just did something because you wanted to, not because it was expected or you promised or you were pressured into it? What are you doing today, tomorrow, next week for fun, for just expression and enjoyment? Give yourself something to do that is like a carrot on a stick that's making it worth it. And every day there should be a little bit of joy baked into the experience. One of my favorite times of day is when I'm done with all of this stuff and I can just snuggle up with the dog for a little bit. He goes on his back and he wants a belly rub and he kind of gets really close and he licks me. Or if we go for a walk, like spending a little bit of time with that furry guy in the background is a great reward for working hard. Being able to catch up and watch something on YouTube or a video that I haven't seen on, you know, one of the streaming services or read something. You know, we all have something where it's just like, I'm not getting, this is just for fun. I work hard all day. You've got to give yourself an hour of just fun. If you're not doing that, you're cheating yourself. Listen to some music, go outside and garden. You know, when was the last time you just did something joyful? Create some joy. And now we have the High Priest in this deck. It's the Green Man. I had to look at the number to remember here. So actually, I guess it's Emperor. It's Emperor energy because Empress would be 3. So yeah, so we have the Green Woman and the Green Man. So Emperor energy. But what you really want to be focusing on in the year ahead is the buck stops here, the ownership, the accountability. That's what the Green Man is saying. You have the capacity to create. So Emperor energy, stepping into your power, stepping into your potential and saying, all right, let's do this. Or I could have done better. I'm going to do better. Here's how I'm going to do it. So again, the opportunities in the year ahead, asking for help, continuing to research, remembering that nobody knows everything. We're all learning. Making time for fun, because if you work all the time, you're actually not going to be able to absorb opportunities. You're not enjoying, you're not as present, you're not as grateful. So joy and fun and play are a part of productive work. And if you're at a place where you're not allowed to have fun or laugh, it's not the place. I talked about when I was a kid and they used to keep me in detention because I giggled too much. Whatever. Thank God my parents didn't care about that and we got into a better school system. But like I was literally punished for being happy. So there are places where you're just not allowed to express yourself. And then finally, either cheating yourself the opportunity to step into a powerful situation or simply taking the accountability and saying, I can do it, but that also means that I have to kind of do this, this, and this to make it happen. Okay? Now let's just, before I wrap up, let's look at the stuff you didn't ask or don't want to know, but you need to know. So what's the sort of hidden thing for next year? So is there something that you need to see, but you're either afraid to look at or don't want to look at or would otherwise avoid? So the lessons you need to know, but don't know how to look at. Okay, so when we look at your deep past messages, again, there's a lot of joy, love, and expression messages that continue to come out as we look at the year ahead. And some of you are afraid to fall head over heels in love. Some of you are afraid to go for something again because maybe you loved and lost. Maybe you were in a great relationship and the person passed away, they divorced you or they moved on, and there's this feeling of that was so great, but it hurt, the separation, and I don't want to hurt myself again. But are you going to cheat yourself of the chance of love? Some of you may have put yourself out there to go to the dream school of your choice, to get the dream job. You may have tried to put something out in the universe that you did that you thought was amazing and everyone rejected it. And you're getting a chance again. It's coming around again to try something similar and you're afraid of rejection. Rejection is part of the sort of toughening of the skin, and it's not, it doesn't go on forever and ever. So if we don't allow for the opportunity of joy and or rejection, we're going to cheat ourselves of when it finally is our time to sort of shine. So this is really saying, if you build the walls up too tall, then nobody can get through. No one can open the door, right? One of the other visions that I got was someone last night just trying to open a door that was locked. And they didn't have the key. And so for some of you, it feels like you threw away the key and you don't want to throw away the key, okay? You're seeing things other people aren't seeing. So it's interesting I said the things that you don't want to see. The universe doesn't see all of the potential pitfalls or mistakes or problems. What it sees is the opportunities and the things of beauty. And if you can find a way to not focus or fixate on perceived flaws. I in one of my readings for this month, I said, if you take the word imperfection, it's a weird word, imperfection, and put an apostrophe between the I and the M, I am perfection, instead of imperfection, that'll help a little bit. In your flaws, in the things that make you unique, you stand out, and when you can own it and maybe even kind of like smile with some of those things, it's going to be a lot better. Don't highlight the flaws, highlight the potentials. People see this, you see this. And so it's really about redirecting the critical eye and looking at possibilities instead. And finally, and most importantly, there is a chance to move on. The Four of Swords is one of the 4 or so different cards that constitute healing and moving on. So you can have like the Death card, the 6 of Swords, the 4 of Swords, Judgment. There's a bunch of them that show like death, rebirth, and movement. Of all of them, the 4 of Swords is the most peaceful. And what happens is one day you just wake up and you feel better. And I kind of get this energy of, I don't know when or how, it could be the 4th month of the year, it could be in 4 days or 4 weeks for some of you, but you're going to have this moment where you just look back and you think, oh, I'm over that. I got through that. And it was like a bad dream. Resting is going to be important, and holding out for that day where the recovery just kicks in. It's when you stop thinking about it. It's when you're just focusing on other aspects of your life. There's just one day where it's better. And I do see that coming through for you, but you have to keep pushing through some of the other things. Having the opportunity to experience joy and put yourself out there, not fixating on your flaws, and getting proper rest, and just giving things time. The 4 of Swords is basically saying time has a way of healing everything. The amount of time varies person to person based on the work that you're putting into yourself, based on your external sort of factors, but time eventually does win out with the 4 of Swords. And I see something getting better, getting easier, maybe not going away. It's kind of like a scar, but one day you don't even notice it. And that's where I see some sort of a healing opportunity for you this year. Okay? And I think that's everything. I always like to throw out an extra one as we do these very special readings. So let's do a final card. So if there's something that you want to focus on, bringing in the new year, focus on that right now. What's the question? What's the opportunity? What are you trying to basically change? And what's your question for me? And I think I'll just use the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith for this. And we'll see what's coming through for this. Okay, so whatever it is that you want me to look at, I'm going to look at it right now, and we'll see what's here. A common theme coming through with the Chariot yet again. And the Chariot is saying, you always held the key. It's like the key that you're putting in the ignition. I saw the key in the door as one of the dream symbols last night. So are you ready and willing to open that? Why are you holding back on that key? As a yes, no, it's a yes, but it requires your ownership, your belief, and you to sort of take charge, take command. Ultimately, the Chariot's it's a great card. It's a power card, but it's a directional power card. You have to tune into GPS. Think of driving, right? You have to pay attention to what's going on around you. You have to listen to the GPS. You have to make sure that the vehicle has been maintained properly, that the tank is full. There's a lot of multitasking that's going on here with this question, and with even just the energy that I'm looking at here as we're entering into 2023. So when you first start as a driver, for those of you that drive, I know not everyone does, I remember how terrible I was. You don't know, like, I think most kids, when they're starting, you can't figure out like when to brake, and you're doing this sort of jittery thing. And then once you've got that under control, it's like, how do I stay in the lanes? And then you got to focus on, pretty soon it just becomes, it's like the car is an extension of you. You just naturally see what's going on. You know what to do. You get too good at multitasking, and you shouldn't multitask. So there's a little lesson with the Chariot here, which is it's hard at the beginning, but if you give up, you're never going to master that experience. So just like riding a bike, driving a car, using a computer or a phone. I remember when we moved away from BlackBerry into the iPhone, and we had the touch screen instead of the keypad or the T9 back in the day. There's learning curves, right? So there's a learning curve coming up. Just keep learning, and eventually it's elementary, right? It becomes easy. So it's not at the beginning. It feels like it's collegiate, but then it becomes elementary. And that's the special message with the Chariot today. I don't think I've ever dug that deep into the Chariot card, but that's what we did today. One of the things I love about tarot is you can read it for your entire lifetime and get new information every time you pick up any of the cards, the 78 cards or so. So there's always new pieces of information that will come through all these years later. And that's that. Thank you, everybody, for an amazing year. I'm going to be back on Sunday. We'll be doing the New Year's Day Sunday Collective, first reading of the new year. We'll look at the 7 days. I haven't yet decided what the topics will be. I'll try to make them appropriate. You can vote on them tomorrow. I'll be doing my one card read after this for today, and I'll do one for tomorrow, but I'm otherwise taking off tomorrow just to enjoy the New Year's, as I hope all of you are doing as well. And yeah, thanks for making this an amazing experience for me. So good to have all of you here, and I appreciate your patience throughout this year. I'm really enjoying my new space. I have a really nice living room. Sometime I'll do maybe like a fireside chat or something there. I have a fireplace in there and everything, but I just don't have everything settled. And I like this. I really wanted a place where we could just do our spiritual work. So this office will warm up over time. I think that's it for today. If you haven't already done so, please do me a favor. Subscribe, hit the bell. I'm going to be doing more periodic impromptus like this. So hit the bell so you don't miss out on anything, and join me across social media. And thank you if you have given back today. I'm going to take a moment just to welcome any of the newest members and anybody who gave a super sticker or super chat today. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. Let's see here. Taking a look at the, first of all, memberships. Anybody that joined today. Okay, so Mitch Eckert, thank you so much. Brand new member. Cynthia Pride, also a new member. Brenna Hamilton, also new. Michelle Abukoff, thank you so much for rejoining after 10 months. Lynn Jordan, thank you for rejoining after 2 months. Let's see who else we have for today. Elise as well, thank you for being a brand new member. All right, let me take a moment and say thank you to all of those that gave a super sticker or a super chat today. All right, so for today, kicking things off, we have Sona1218. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jeannie Wilshire, thank you. And Regina, you're amazing. Thank you for the triple ones there. I appreciate that. Very auspicious. And I appreciate all your support throughout the year. Christy Stringfellow, thank you. Esmeralda, thanks. Candy Rosso, Kiki78, Terry Watkins, Lucy Rodriguez, Renita Prince, Maven, Adele Forbes, and Free and Natural Patty K. Let me see if I missed anyone here. Leah, thank you, or Leah. Let's see. And by the way, thank you for the 50, Free and Natural. I appreciate that. Let me see if there's anybody else. I think I got everyone. I hope you have a very prosperous new year. I hope that you spend some time today and tomorrow setting your intentions and really sort of allow yourself to hit the reset button. Everything in this past year, no matter how challenging it was, good or bad, it came in for a reason, but it doesn't have to carry over into the new year. Sometimes I joke about, there's nothing really magical that happens between midnight or, and 1 o'clock or whatever, but there can be if you want it to be. So this is the exception. When we hit the new year, when it does strike 12 o'clock, you can really see this as a chance for a different chapter in your life. If you believe it, if you see it, if you embrace it, then it can happen. And I hope that happens for you. So let's make the next year amazing. I saw some really good energy for all of you. And from my heart to yours, I hope you have a great New Year's. And I'll see you again on Sunday. Take care, and thank you for your time and energy today. Bye-bye.